Hi there, it's Karen at Simply Living for Him. I'm here to do my daily devotional video. These videos are found every day on my YouTube channel, so if you enjoy them, you can subscribe over there, or you can find them in the Simply Living for Him online women's community. It is completely free to join, and you'll find these devotionals every day, as well as monthly Bible studies, scripture writing and memorization challenges, prayer groups, just amazing fellowship. We have over 700 women, and it's completely free, so join us at simplylivingforhim.com/community. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about, I was reading in the book of James this morning. I want to read to you from James 3. And it sort of struck with me as something that was on my mind already. And, I know this I try very, very hard not to post things or add to any negativity or division out there. So I don't want this to be taken that way. What I would hope is that it would encourage us to think about our heart and our motives, and think about what is truly important to us, and think about our lives as being ambassadors for Christ and displaying the fruits of the Spirit to a world that needs Jesus. And so anyway, I've just been feeling very disappointed in people lately. And if you saw my devotional yesterday, you would see that that was all about, are we, are people letting us down? And of course, people are going to let us down because they're people and they're not God, and we're all sinners. But something I've been disappointed in lately is just the lack of humility, the lack of compassion, the lack of gentleness. And I'm not talking about in the worldly people, because I don't expect people that are unbelievers to display fruits of the Spirit, but I do expect that from believers, because just because we're in the middle of, various crises going on in the world, right? Just because we're in the middle of those things doesn't give us the right to act without humility, doesn't give us the right to act without kindness and compassion. And so, I've just been a little bit disappointed lately in the displays of pride and the lack of humility, the lack of compassion for others. It's a lot of like screaming and shouting and being right, and not being godly, not looking to, just mostly focused on inward emotion rather than outward truth. And, anyway, so let me get to James. James here says in chapter 3, verses 13 to 18. Who is wise among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom, in quotes, does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. I would encourage you to go back to James 3 and read that a couple of times in the translation of your choice. So many of us think we're being wise these days by sharing, our opinion or our, what we really believe in, and that's fine. We can have opinions and believe in things. But I really believe that how we are sharing it needs to be done in humility. And we should be looking to sow peace, as it says here. Because quite frankly, a lot of people's pride is showing. And it's unsettling to me, because as it says here, where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. I would say right now our world feels very disorderly. There's mass confusion in various headlines, various different issues going on. There's mass confusion, mass division. And at the heart, that's because we have selfish ambition. We do not have humility. If we could all just stop and approach things, you can have the very same opinion and belief about something and speak it in humility and speak it with compassion. I'm like appalled at the name calling, you know, especially among Christians. That is not humble. That is not showing the fruits of the Spirit. That is just acting like the world. And so the wisdom that comes from heaven is, first of all, pure, peace loving. Are you peace loving these days? I mean, I find that when I go on the internet, I don't see a lot of people looking for peace. There's a lot of stirring up for the wrong things. You know, it says peace loving, considerate. Are you considering others when you have these discussions or postings or rantings or whatever it is? Submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. Christians, that's what we want. I'm afraid we're getting into a screaming match with the world, and that's not what we're supposed to be like. And again, all of these things takes our shift off of our true focus, which is Jesus. If we could have as much passion to share Jesus than we do to share our opinion about everything that's going on, we could change the world. If we had as much just fervor about, you know, the latest headline that we do about this, share this. You know, I posted this morning on Facebook, before you hit share, ask yourself, is this going to divide people or is this going to multiply? Because as Christians, we're about multiplying and making disciples, right? We're not about dividing, we're about multiplying. Ask yourself, is this edifying? Ask yourself, just like this verse is talking about here, this passage, what is your true heart motive? Is your pride showing or is your humility showing? And you know, I'm speaking to myself because I have to always constantly, I don't like to post a lot of controversial stuff. So you won't normally see that from me because I do not believe in spreading division. Do I have opinions about things? Absolutely. Do I have beliefs about things? Absolutely. But those things don't trump the fact that my main concern is for the cause of Christ and for the building of his kingdom. And we're not building his kingdom when we're just ranting about the latest headline, right? So I have to take a step back and say, my mission here at Simply Living for Him is always going to be for the cause of Christ. And I have to separate that from the headlines and what's going on. You know, not that the headlines and things that are going on aren't important, but it's really important that we don't make our cause bigger than the cause of Christ, and worse, that we don't present ourselves. Like I said, you can have beliefs and opinions. We all should, right? And we should call things out when they're wrong. But are we calling things out when they're wrong out of a place of pride or out of humility? Because if we're calling it out of humility, we're not going to be screaming and shouting and yelling. You know what we're going to do? We're going to look at people when we can in real life, face to face, and have real life discussions. Because the internet kind of just gives you this place to get what you want to say out there, and you don't have to look somebody in the eye. And so there's this disconnect. We need to connect again, eye to eye, face to face. It says, who is wise among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. Be very careful not to just follow after people because they've got a lot of good rhetoric and narrative. Follow after people that are showing the fruits of the Spirit, showing their good life by deeds done in humility. Humility. Just be careful these days. There's a lot of anger, a lot of discontent, and a lot of pride. And we all have a place to play in that. We all have the ability to display Jesus. It says, if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your heart, Are you getting involved in these things out of selfish ambition or out of true compassion for humanity, out of true humility, out of true reverence for God? I feel like a lot of us are just getting caught up in the worldly things. This world is not all there is. This world, we're just passing through. Why are we getting so caught up and looking like everybody else? Our home is in heaven, and that is the good news that we should be sharing left and right. This world is always going to have problems. How we act in those problems says a lot more about us than just spewing out our latest opinion. Where you have envy and selfish ambition, you will find disorder and every evil practice. There's a lot of disorder going on right now. So I this caught my eye this morning when I read this and said, a lot of this disorder comes from people not acting out of a place of humility. So let's all be careful to really check our hearts, to go to the Word, ask the Lord to let His fruits shine in us, let them spill out the fruits of the Spirit in our behavior. And let's really, really ask the Lord for humble hearts, for peacemaking hearts. If your latest post or your latest thing that you're reading, I don't post a lot, I read things. If it's not inciting in me a peacemaking spirit, I don't want to have any part of it. I don't want to go down that road of division. I want to be part of the peacemakers. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. So check out James 3 today. These specifically were verses 13 to 18. Some really good stuff. I hope that encouraged you today, and I will see you guys next time.